especially for women. Oh my God, we're like, I've talked to so many women. They're like, I have to deal with my kids now. I have to deal with my spouse. And then I gotta work, and then I'm up till 2 a.m. and I have no time for myself. And I'm like,
Hello, Bridges. Welcome to another Saturday Sessions. My name is Deborah Pogorelski.
Hi, my name is Mariana Esquiavino.
Hello, everybody. I'm Victoria Mejia.
Hi, everybody. Cristina Saraos from Bridges here. And today we have a very special guest, Natalya. She's really helped me find really good talent when I've needed it.
thank you, ladies, for having me. It's an absolute honor to be here. So yeah, as Christina mentioned, I am known in the Miami market to help wonderful brands like Christina's help find wonderful talent their new home. And now our job has shifted a little bit because we're really committed to helping these folks find not just a new job, but also support and really understanding how they can position themselves in the market and also be a fit for new sectors that are actually hiring. So excited to be here and excited to share some words of wisdom and encouragement based on my expertise.
So I have a question. How has your work industry been affected by the current situation? How have you guys adapted to the change, especially in this new normal of being virtual?
Yes. So as you can imagine, just like everyone else, our first order of business was go home and work from home and try to not go crazy. So I think for us, the biggest step in that direction was being able to collectively as a company go remotely within a matter of days. So we have been in quarantine here at Robert Half for almost 2 months now. But luckily we have a solid IT support system that was able to get us, and when I say us, I mean 12,000 people up and running globally. So from there, that was the biggest shift right there. And also in terms of impacts, just like a lot of people out there, we have had to lay off some folks and furlough other folks. So we've had to endure letting go of some of our best people just because we have suffered the impact just like everyone else. So I guess like everyone on this call, we're just really trying to embrace the new normal and sticking together. But the cool thing is that we found a lot of productivity and purpose behind helping people, behind joining calls like this and outreach programs to not just share what we're going through, but to share how we've overcome it and to share how in overcoming that we're not only helping people get back to work, but also educating clients on that it's okay to hire, it's okay to bring people on, it's okay to stretch your budget a little bit to bring that help in house and just really revive the ecosystem however possible.
Now that we are trying to adapt to this new way of living, working remotely, how do you see the industries changing moving forward in general?
Oh yeah, I mean they've already changed overnight almost. So I would say definitely, the obvious. A lot of industries, starting with retail, have found the demand and the necessity to go virtual. So a lot of companies have gone from brick and mortar store to an online retail version of themselves. And interestingly enough, some of them have actually found overnight success because they've had solid people running their digital marketing presence so that they were able to harness all this new virtual traffic that's now in front of their computers. So definitely that's been the biggest shift, is people going virtual, definitely on the retail space. I would also say businesses are starting to embrace technology like this so that people can work collectively and not just feel separated and isolated, but more importantly they're really making a big push to incorporate things like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Web, any type of video conferencing software. You see that in the education space as well. They, overnight had to go virtual just to, be able to support all these kids that, needed to go to class and, help parents have some kind of sanity there. But so I've seen a huge embrace of technology, almost to the point where it's like, against their will, but they had to. But I actually love seeing that companies have really rallied to make sure that everyone is set up and supported properly, from an IT perspective. And I've also seen a lot of people investing in digital initiatives. So like I mentioned earlier, through great campaigns that are well put together, people have seen, like I said, overnight success. So they're starting to realize that, oh my goodness, I need a digital strategy, because right now a pretty website doesn't cut it. You have to make sure that things are in place, that they have that they're mindfully strategized, that you have an end game of making sure that you understand where you want your business to go, to really know where you've been and what's worked there, and now somehow I guess knit it into a strategy that revolves around this new digital traffic that we're seeing. Another thing I've noticed, and I think that this is something that a lot of companies are not aware of, is the need for compliance and website content compliance. Some of you have probably seen that out there with something called the American with Disabilities Act. So a lot of websites are actually not accessible in a lot of fashions. So you have to think, okay, just like a brick and mortar store should be accessible and should have certain accommodations, websites are now seeing an increased demand for that, and they could face potential lawsuits if they're not implementing these specific things that all websites need to have. And so that's one thing I encourage all of my clients to look at. We actually just rolled out a project for a huge healthcare corporation in Broward and made their entire website ADA compliant. So it was a big deal, and it should be a big deal, just like a brick and mortar.
What are some examples to make a website accessible?
So in terms of, so think of, any disability that comes to mind. So how would they interact with digital content? So if, the content isn't legible, or if there's an audiology situation, it's really making sure that your digital content can be accessed by for any type of person under any type of circumstance. Sometimes they have an option where there's software that could read the content to you, because you either have a vision problem, or you're impaired somehow and you can't access that visually. So you need to have, access to it, on an audio version. So the computer will read the actual content to you.
Even I know that when you post a picture on Instagram, you have the option to describe in the alt text what's the picture about.
Definitely. And a lot of companies don't think about these type of things, in particular small business. Sometimes you don't even have all the tools that you need, or you don't have big corporations to build a website for you. So you're doing it kind of like on your own, or maybe hiring a designer to do it. But these are questions that probably people don't even think about.
For sure. And one of the ways that we're helping there is we have a division of our company called Managed Creative Service and Managed Technology Services. Christina, I know we, partnered with them to find you some wonderful talent for Norwegian. And essentially what they do is they can act like as a consultant to have an initial phone call to see if there's any way that they can help the company. And it's of no charge. It's just really to understand where the company is. So I've been offering that service as hey, if you don't know where to start, just talk to us and we'll point you in the right direction. And if you can't afford a service of a full-blown team, we can at least pair you with a freelancer that knows how to make a website compliant, because sometimes you just need a great content developer to be able to put the content in its right place and in the right format. And they've probably done it before. So, it's really cool to see how we can scale up or down depending on the company's budget and size. But the cool thing is that, we have a tailored approach to each person that might need. It's been a really cool experience trying to help people there.
Yeah, and when you're looking for a talent, what key characteristics or skills make a candidate have a successful interview?
Okay, I would say the biggest thing is just for someone to think of it like, I tell people, I'm a former creative and I work with people in the creative space. So I ask people to think of themselves as the best product, the best campaign, the best service that they've ever designed, pitched, sold. So I think the important thing is to have a solid presence of who you are. So that starts with, understanding that what your resume needs to really reflect your strengths, your skills in a very concise but also powerful manner. So I ask people to always keep their resumes to at least, if you have to have 2 pages, great. But if you have 5 years, 3 to 5 years, chances are you could probably, put everything on 1 page. Remember, recruiters right now are reading thousands of resumes almost on a weekly basis. I know my guys are, and you want something that's catchy, that's simple to read, that's contemporary, that shows that you've put some thought into it. So I would say it starts really with the understanding of making sure your presence on paper looks really good. But I will also say that just like any service or product, you have to have an online presence. So if you don't have a LinkedIn, I mean, by all means, create that immediately. But people with a solid LinkedIn presence that matches their resume, has a professional headshot on there, just mindfully put together. Ideally, you have some recommendations from your colleagues. Now is a great time to do that. People are really willing to help out. So people that have really great recommendations on LinkedIn, I always look at that. I mean, again, that's what it's there for. So I really take LinkedIn professionalism very seriously, and I know my team does as well. Things that also stand out is just obviously your experience and how you represent that experience on paper. So yeah, cool that you worked at the best agency in Miami, but what did you do for them? And why are you an asset to a team? And really and truly, now it's time to really toot your own horn. And a lot of people are afraid to do that sometimes because they're like, oh, I don't want to sound too cocky or whatever. I'm like, you have 30 seconds to impress someone that might change your life. So this is not the time to hold back. It's more than anything, it's the time to be creative with how you present yourself. So if you're in marketing, you better have some numbers on your resume. So, an ROI, something that shows, if you're in digital marketing and you were in charge of a campaign, like what did that campaign do for the brand? How much money did it add to the bottom line? What part of the process were you in terms of, generating some more traffic, more, whatever the case is. So it's really understanding how to present yourself as having a positive impact within a company, within a brand. Those are the things that catch the attention of somebody reading your resume. And I've seen a lot of resumes that are so dense with information, just jam packed. People want to put everything on there. And all I say to that is less is more. You're creative, as you guys, on this call probably worked with creatives, having a portfolio that is updated, that is relevant, that is contemporary, that's clean. There's a bunch of stuff online to show what a good portfolio looks like. I know with Christina, we worked in the past, and she was like, I'm a sucker for a good portfolio that can show me, good brainstorming and conceptual. And she can tell you, the best ones are the ones that catch her attention. So if anything, we've both been through that. But a solid portfolio, if you're creative, or even if you're just a social media person that you may not think, oh, a portfolio for me doesn't really make sense. That's wrong, because social media people, the ones that have samples of their work, are the ones that are super impressive. So I would say that's, with those things that I mentioned, it's very clear to see when someone's really committed to finding a great opportunity for themselves by positioning themselves the right way.
Well, the last question that we have, and last time I checked, 26 million people in the US filed for unemployment. So layoff flows, that's what's happening right now. And what are you advising to people that are currently looking for a job in the current situation, having to have virtual interviews, having to do all this research, like you mentioned, update your LinkedIn? What would be your tip for them?
For sure. I would say, definitely listen to Bridges Unite as much as you can. But really, and I do mean that. I mean, connecting with people like us that are still in the industry, that we're here to help, and we're here to take time out of our day. I know each of you is a very busy, woman and part of a busy team, and but you're here because you really want to share something valuable. So I would say the first thing is plugging into your virtual community, because now we're all virtual, so there's no such thing as physical networking. But it's really, taking time to plug into a community of people like Bridges Unite, people like our team, like the creative group, who is putting on webinars every now and then, or at least, only a phone call away. So starting there and seeing what the industry is doing. And as a person and as a woman, I advise people to really make themselves their top priority. You can't really do any of this unless you take care of yourself. I know I've spoken to a lot of super moms out there that are so committed to their families, to their teams, to the companies that they're still working for, that sometimes they forget to take care of themselves. So my biggest advice to the super moms out there that I really admire, you're my superhero, but take time for yourself, because you need to really be clear-minded, you need to be level-headed, you need to know, number one, where you've been and where you're going, so that you know where to start. And all of these tools are amazing, but if you're not in the right headspace for it, it's in one ear out the other. And I think it's so important for especially women, because we like to take on so much. That's what I love about us, but again, at the same time, it could be a double-edged sword, because we don't take the time, again, to sit with ourselves and really understand, what do I want from this? Whether you've lost your job or you're still working, it applies to both. I think it's so important, and you guys could attest to that, right? It's so important for us to take the time to just really sit with ourselves. So, but for people that are looking, I would say beyond that is connection too. It's making sure that if you don't have an online presence on LinkedIn, start building it and start adding as many people that you think are relevant to you. That's how I've started, and I'm almost at, I think, 20,000 followers and interactions, and I just started adding people that I knew I could either help or that I wanted to learn more from. And you'd be surprised at how many people on LinkedIn are willing, just like us, they're willing to take 15 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour out of their busy day to speak to people that really need guidance. I just think a lot of people out there are so scared to reach out to their dream hiring manager or their dream company, because they think they always have to go through HR. I'm telling you, my job is based on, I love HR, but it's based on going straight to a hiring manager to get the information you want. So I really encourage people to develop a little bit of more confidence than they already might have, to reach out to people that would be potentially the hiring manager. And you can see on LinkedIn if their company's hiring. So it's almost like a dead giveaway. It's like, hey, the company's hiring and I work in marketing and there's a marketing director right there, and you might always already be a connection. So it's just a matter of really taking the time to study things a little bit and maximizing your online community that you may already have. And if you have only 50 people, 50 connections, that's okay, because guess what those connections have? They have other connections. And guess what those connections have? They have other connections. And so LinkedIn has a great algorithm, not only that it will show you who can introduce you to who, that there's a wonderful feature there. So all you have to do is ask for the introduction. But sometimes if you're adding people to your network, it will propose people in the Miami area that you may know or that might be in a relevant industry. So LinkedIn is extremely powerful, and even on the basic, you don't have to sign up for premium. You can really have these tools free. So again, that's free resources. Study the free resources that are out there. I would definitely start with LinkedIn, but also companies like ours provide free training. So if, for example, you always wanted to be a graphic designer and you started in marketing, if you contact us, we can provide you with free training sessions for Photoshop. I mean, YouTube has a ton of them. So it's also, now is the time to really reinvent yourself too. You don't have to stick with graphic design if that's all you know. It's a great starting point. I was a graphic designer before I became a recruiter, and it's all connected, because I believe that every single job can benefit from a past experience that isn't necessarily relevant on the front end, but if you're creative about it, you can really maximize that. And if all else fails, you can call me and I'll get you a job at Robert Half as a but there's so many things. There's a pulse still out there. There are hot industries, like you just mentioned, that are hiring, and I'll mention a few of them that have come to my knowledge. So the financial industries, fintech is huge, the banking industry, mortgage and loans. You also have even public adjusters we've placed for that, engineering companies that fix like air conditionings and stuff like that. I mean, things that are, again, they're outside of the regular hot industries that we were typically seeing 2 months ago. You also have food manufacturing. So you have to also think, like, where's the demand going? So you have to think it's almost like it's a no-brainer. So what's in more demand? So food delivery services, people that had a retail presence, but also had an e-commerce presence. So e-commerce is through the roof. High tech, telecom, people going remote. So if you really think about it, there's so many opportunities. The health and wellness, supplements, virtual, e-learning. I mean, I just mentioned probably just as many industries that were hiring 2 months ago. So it's just a matter of really pivoting. And I think that that's the word that I invite everyone to embrace in their own manner is pivot. Because whether you are growing overnight, people have had to learn how to pivot from seeing some success to blowing up overnight. I mean, that does a lot to if you're understaffed, that'll put a CMO in the warehouse helping people fulfill orders. Likewise, if you've lost your job, okay, you got to pivot. What are you good at? What else can you do? What other industries are you relevant to? If you've lost your whole team and you're the last man standing, like myself, I have 2 other amazing people, but I'm the last person that does business development for my team. How are you going to pivot? Are you going to sit there and sulk, or are you just going to take it by the horn and go? So every single one, from a CEO all the way to an intern, has had to learn to pivot. And the ones that resist that and panic and choose to not face that, I understand that completely. But guess what's happening? The 500 other people just like you in the market are learning how to pivot. And so who's going to be attractive, who's going to be out there, who's going to be hireable? The smart candidates that are like, you know what, I'm going to put my portfolio on LinkedIn. I'm going to, engage with people out there. I'm going to reach out to, Bridges Unite. I'm going to reach out to Natalya and the creative group. I'm going to go the extra mile. And I think that people that can manage to do that in a way that makes sense to them and allows them to show up authentically are the people that will make this through, and the people that will start seeing even tiny success as early as this week, as early as tomorrow, because the tiny wins are out there for people to go and find. So that's my take.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Such valuable knowledge. I think it's great. I want to really thank you for being here with us today. Where can people reach out to you and contact if they wanted more information, or if they want to join one of your trainings, or even hire you to be their either recruiter or
talent guru?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say LinkedIn is the best. LinkedIn is usually where I highlight what we're working on, what opportunities we have open, what webinars we're putting on, or what webinars other people are showing. So LinkedIn is for sure. And if they require direct contact, my information is on LinkedIn as well, so they can search there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So thank you everybody for joining another Saturday session. Look out for our newsletter. Sometimes we promote job openings on our newsletter, so check that out on our website as well at bridgesunite.com. So thank you so much everybody. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.